Hi guys, welcome back to Final Bell. So, Tottenham versus Manchester United. This is just my review of the match and player ratings, and fucking hell. VAR, mate. VAR? So I want to get straight into things, but fucking hell, VAR? Like, I decided to review our second penalty. Fair enough, that was never a penalty. I would have been really pissed off if that had been given against us. However, fucking what? Why didn't they feel like reviewing their goal? Why didn't they feel like reviewing Tottenham's goal? I'm not saying it was definitely offside, but surely it's close enough to review it. Oh no, let's just not bother with that. It's against Man United, so therefore it's a goal. Fucking frustrating, man. Fucking fuming about that. Anyway, overall, let's talk about the match. So, I thought we played quite well, to be honest. Up until the goal, I thought we had the better possession. We weren't really threatening up to that point, but then we kind of fell apart for a bit. After they scored 27th minute, I thought they just looked like they were able to open us up very easily, and that really worried me. I thought they were going to go 2-0 up at that point. But then second half, I thought we just bossed them. I thought we bossed the game. Ollie made, I would say he made substitutions at the right sort of time, really, bringing Greenwood and Pogba on to change the game. I think it was the right time to do that, and I thought we should have made more chances. We weren't able to. We weren't able to get through Tottenham's defence. I do think they defended quite well, if we're being completely fair, but ultimately it's another costly error by David De Gea, and he made an excellent save as well. And I'm the first one to give people credit when they've done well. But yeah, we had some very bad performances from certain ones of our players. I mean, overall, it's not that bad. It might take us a game or two to get back into the full swing of things. But we're at that stage of the season where every game's vital. Because at the end of the day, United, we're chasing Chelsea, and we've again failed to slip up every time we do this. Whenever we play first and we have chances to put pressure on Chelsea, we always end up losing or drawing. And then even if they fuck up, it doesn't really matter, because it means that we don't go ahead of them. So we're not going to be able to catch them if the pattern continues in that way. We've already played them twice, so we can't beat them. So yeah, quite frustrated. I'm really happy that football's back. I'm happy that United are back, and we've got another game coming right up, and that's a massive game against Sheffield United. But what I want to do is dissect this game, get into some player ratings. So David De Gea. Oh dear. Got to start with David De Gea. So he made an excellent save from the header by Heung-min Son, however you want to say his name. So he made one excellent save, but then he doesn't make this save that you would expect any Premier League goalkeeper to keep that out. I mean, yes, the ball was struck well, but it's straight at him. Like, get your fucking body in the way, Dave. And it's getting to the stage where I like David De Gea as much as the next United fan. And it's not that I don't appreciate what he's doing, but the man's starting to become a bit of a liability. Like, it's almost double figures now that he's made errors and it's cost us games. So in this instance, I was tempted to give him a 5, but it's going to be a 4. It's going to have to be a 4. Let's move into the back 4 then. So, I'm going to go left to right. Luke Shaw I actually thought was one of our best players today. Had a few dodgy moments defensively. Wasn't always in the right position, but I thought going forward he was a bit of a threat. He tried to come inside and sort of link up with Fernandez, link up with Rashford. So I think I'd give Luke Shaw a solid 6 today. So I don't think that was a bad performance whatsoever. Harry Maguire, God, terrible mistake for the goal. I don't know what he was doing. Got turned inside out quite easily. So I think on that basis, he did quite well. He was getting his foot in other parts of the game and passed the ball relatively well. But I think it can't be any higher than a 5, so I'm going to be quite generous, I would say, and give him a 5. Lindelof, for me, again, gets a 5, and I don't necessarily think Lindelof did anything wrong today, but I think going back to the first goal, Harry Maguire gets done, gets beaten, all ends up by Bergwijn, right? He gets done. Lindelof almost gets there but doesn't quite get there. In fact, if that's Eric Bailly, he gets there every time. Trust me on that. David De Gea, that situation doesn't arise because Eric Bailly makes that tackle. You can't pair two centre-backs that are not quick together. You need one centre-back that's got speed. That's the modern day game. So Lindelof unfortunately gets a 5. Wan-Bissaka today, I actually thought, whilst he's never terrible, he's never one of the worst players in this team, but I did think today was a pretty bad night for him. He got some good crosses in towards the end. He wasn't tested that much actually by Son. I was expecting them. They tended to get at us more through the left side, and that's because Rashford weren't offering Shaw any protection. So I think Wan-Bissaka gets a 5 from me, just because I thought his decision making on the ball is just not very good, and it's something that he does need to improve upon. But I also think some of that's a bit of a product of the system that we play. We end up giving him the ball in positions where he basically doesn't have any room to manoeuvre, any room to move. So Fred, moving into the midfield, you got Fred and McTominay, centre midfield. I thought Fred had a poor game today. Like, I love Fred. He's one of my favourite players at Manchester United, but I think he did look slightly off the pace. He did look rusty. Again, looked all right before they scored, but then after that he was just misplacing passes, getting beaten. So I can't give Fred any more than a 5. Scott McTominay, I thought was very impressive, one of our better players. But again, gave the ball away a little bit, showed a bit of sign of rust, but I thought he made tackles, he was competitive. He did a good job as well when he was asked to go to centre-back. So I think a solid 6 for Scott McTominay, and I think he should keep his place in the next match, regardless of what they're looking to do there. Right, moving up then, Bruno Fernandez. Now I think he deserves a high rating. He does deserve quite a high rating. He's obviously scored the penalty, but I think he was one of the only players that was sort of working his arse off trying to make things happen. And I think in normal circumstances I'd just be giving him like a 7 here. But because of the fact that we are in this pandemic, he's come back into this team full of players that, let's be honest, a lot of them are underperforming. I would say in this situation, I've got to give Bruno an 8 today. I'll give Bruno an 8. I know he's scored the penalty as you would expect him to do, but I thought his work rate was excellent, and I thought he was trying to make things happen when a lot of other players weren't. Daniel James, man. He looked like he had so much potential when we first signed him in his first few games. He looked great, and now he just looks he looks lost out there. I mean, I do think he was a bit unlucky actually with some of the lack of protection that he was getting from the referee. Like, I remember a particular incident where he got proper flattened by one of their players. Nothing was given. One of their players puts their shoulder through Dan James's back, and then he goes and fouls the player in pretty much retaliation and gets booked. So I thought some of that stuff didn't really go for him today, but he gave the ball away a lot. I thought he worked hard as always, but just didn't really make an attacking contribution. The couple of times that he had a chance to put a final ball in, it wasn't very good quality. So again, I'm just going to have to give him a 5 today. Rashford. Oh, Rashford, man. Rashford looked sharp in sort of the first 20 minutes and then just seemed to get worse and worse and worse as the game went on. To be honest, I'm quite surprised that they took Martial off rather than him. Because whilst Martial didn't have a great game either, I thought it looked more hopeful than Rashford. This guy was giving the ball away every time he got it. And I say this as someone that, not hating on Rashford, but he's a proper talented player and you expect big things from him. So I think Rashford has to get a 4 today. I'm sorry, but it's a 4. I can't give him any higher. Anthony Martial, again, a little bit unlucky with some of the treatment he was getting from the defenders. Thought the referee had a poor show tonight for the most part. Made some really bad decisions, made some inconsistent decisions. and I think Martial was one of the people affected by that. However, he did all right when he was on the ball, but he needs to be making more runs in behind defenders. I've been saying this for a long time, and it's something that he needs to do more of. Like, it makes him too predictable if he's just running towards the ball all the time. He needs to make a run over the top sometimes, like for the ball over the top. He needs to give defenders something to think about running in behind them, because otherwise it's easy marking him. And I say that as someone that thinks he's one of my favourite players. So I mean, going off of his first half performance, I'd be looking at a 3 or a 4, but I thought he did sharpen up a bit second half, so I'm going to give him a 5. So that's the first 11. Looking at the substitutes. So first ones were Greenwood. Greenwood, I think, gets a 6 from me, because he had a shot that was very close at the end. I thought he looked a threat, but never quite got in the positions to make anything happen, other than sort of the last shot of the game. That goes in, he's getting a 7 or an 8. Do you know what I mean? Like, that makes so much difference. Pogba, I'm gonna give a 7 to Pogba. I thought he looked good. Made a great tackle on the edge of their box to, create a chance for us, and ends up absolutely skinning Dyer to give us that penalty. And overall, we just looked a better team with him in the side. He's got that sort of passing range that we missed. Like, I love McTominay, and I think Fred's a great player too, but them two just don't have the passing range that Pogba has, and they don't have the touch that Pogba has, and they can't change a game like Pogba. So Pogba gets a 7 from me, and I'm hoping that we continue to give him game time and that he gets sharper. So in terms of the other players that came on, you had Ozzy and Ighalo. I thought he looked out of shape to me. He looked way off the pace. And I don't really remember him touching the ball, so I've got to give him a flat 5. Like, I can't give him no more. I can't really give him less. He didn't do anything bad. He did set up. Can't remember who it was. I think it was him that gave the ball to Greenwood for that shot that Greenwood had. So yeah, Ighalo, he did a couple of good things, but looked off the pace to me, so a 5 for him. Matic, I thought, looked okay. He looked solid in there. I think they definitely had less chances after Matic came on, because there was a period in the second half where we were pushing up and they looked dangerous on the counter-attack. And I think after Matic came on, a lot of that did stop. So he does give us something different in there in terms of a platform. He's got good positioning, he's strong. So I would give Matic a 6. Again, a 6. It's difficult to give many people more than a 6 in a game that we should have won and we've drawn. So Matic gets a 6. Who else was there? I think it was just Eric Bailly from that point. So yeah, Eric Bailly didn't really do much. I think just flat 5. There's not much else that can be said, is there? Flat 5 for Eric Bailly. Not really sure about the substitution. I'm wondering if McTominay potentially got injured there. So yeah, if anyone knows that, please let me know in the comments section. Is McTominay injured? Has he picked up a knock? Right, so that's the player ratings. I guess this just leaves a rating for Solskjaer. I'm going to give Ollie a 6 today. I thought that he picked the team that more or less I expected him to pick. Tactically it wasn't great, but I don't really think the fact that we conceded that goal, that was the players being shit. I don't think it was necessarily Ollie's coaching that gave away the goal. Having said that, we were completely unable to break them down until the second half. But I do think he made the right substitutions at the right sort of times. The only thing that I would say is that he could have brought Ighalo on earlier, and he could have maybe done it for Rashford instead of Martial, because I do think Martial at the time was looking slightly sharper than Rashford. And Rashford really didn't do anything that game. He looked there was something off with him. But, I can only hope that the form improves as we're going on. Those are the player ratings, guys. Obviously, please leave in the comment section any opinions that you've got on the game. Overall, I think it was always going to be a tough game back. White Hart Lane, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, whatever you want to call it, it's not necessarily an easy place to go. It wasn't an easy start, but it was an avoidable draw. Like, ultimately, it was defensive errors. Goal could potentially have been offside if it had been reviewed, and then a terrible goalkeeping error, an absolutely horrific goalkeeping error. And then we had a few chances ourselves that we could have put away. We should have created more in general. So I think a draw overall is a fair result. As I say, I'm going to be bringing out some more content, guys. So I'm going to be bringing out the video in the next couple of days, which is the 4 transfers that I believe Man United need to make in order to contend for the title next season, basically. And I'm going to be doing a preview of the Sheffield United game as well. So stay tuned to that, guys. Please like the video, please subscribe to the channel, and please let me know what you thought of the game in the comment section. Thank you very much as always. Peace.